Hi, welcome to the Spellcaster video. Start with the performance video that you saw probably before you bought it.
The very language of magic seems to be talking as much about writing or art as it is about supernatural events. A grimoire, for example, the Book of Spells, is simply a fancy way of saying grammar. Indeed, to cast a spell is simply to spell.
One of the classic plots of card magic is a card is selected, lost in the deck, and then the magician finds it by spelling the name of the card, dealing out one card for each letter. Now, it's a very common, popular trick, but I love this trick because it actually taps into some really ancient mythologies. The word spell. The word spell can mean to spell something or a magic spell. And we think of them as completely separate meanings now, but they were one and the same ones. A word like abracadabra, which is Aramaic for I create by speaking. It actually was, they often spelled out that word to unleash its magical powers. Words are incredibly magical. In the ancient world, I think they still are. I mean, you look at creation myths from around the world, so many myths begin the universe itself with a word. And God said, in the beginning was a word. That's a lot of heft for a card trick. So, we're going to do this, but I'm not going to have you choose a card. And I'm not going to manipulate this with sleight of hand. We're going to keep it as simple as and impossible as it could possibly be. I want you to just think of a card. Just think of any card. And I'll look away. Got it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now what I would like you to do is I would like you to cut the card several times. Cut. Then complete the cut. No, do it again. Okay. I want you to have no idea where the card is. Complete the cut. Good. Do you know where the card is in the deck?
No, I have no idea.
Okay. Would you pick it up and put it in your left hand so you can deal the cards?
Okay.
Now, let's just go over this. You've thought of a card.
Mm-hmm.
1 of 52. There's no way I could know what card you were thinking of. And you don't know where it is in the deck.
No.
Okay. We're going to have you spell it out. One card for every letter in the name of the card, and it will be on the last card you deal, the S. Okay. That will be your card. Not before, not after, that card. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, well, what was the name of your card?
Two of Hearts.
Two of Hearts. Okay, so please spell it out. Right there, face up.
T. W. O. O. F. H. E. A. R. T. S. That's awesome.
Thanks. That's Spellcaster. Thanks, baby. You're my daughter.
Yeah, hi.
But she's not a stooge. Okay, thanks. So that is Spellcaster, a super clean version of the spelling plot. I know there are some wonderful versions, multi-phase, multiple selection versions of the spelling plot. To me, sometimes it can get to be a little bit much dealing this, dealing that. And I wanted to go the other way. Just do it once. You spread out the cards, have a total free choice to think of a card, and then they cut the cards a couple times and deal, and boom. It always, there's no ambiguity in them. You always know that it's going to be on that final card, that the chosen card. So it's really strong, and it allows you, because of its streamlined nature, it allows you to build up the presentation at the beginning of the effect. It does require a gimmick deck. I have a limited number of these in stock. After that, they are probably not going to be back in stock, probably not. Or you can get an instant download. And when I say instant, I mean instant-ish. Give us several hours, because we may be sleeping, depending on where you are. And you can get instructions how to make one of these. It takes you 15, 20 minutes to make, 10, 20 bucks. and you can, it's pretty easy. The handling is easy. You can add all the false shuffles and cuts that you like, but I didn't even do that in this presentation. So Spellcaster, thanks very much. So what is this deck? Some of you may have suspected a Bagshaw deck. It is a variation on the Bagshaw deck. It also known as the Quran deck. There's a couple of Quran decks. There could be more hiding. That Quran was just leaving decks all over the place. When he left, there was hundreds of Quran decks. But anyways, Bagshaw is really just known for the one, and it's a principle where when you spread out the deck of cards, there is a repeated stack, and there's a number of different variations. We have 6 cards repeating again and again. There can be 8 cards repeating, 10 cards. This stack uses 9, oddly enough. It's a stack of 8, and then a 9th card on the face. So it's a nicely deceptive version. I prefer the stacks with 8 on top, repeating over and over, and the 9th card gives it seems more deceptive. When I was doing it on my daughter, she was like, I explained it to her how it worked afterwards, and she was like, "What? It's really hard to see that," and it really is. The other, there's a few other things that mark the deck, including a mark, but make it distinctive. The choices of the cards that repeat are all arranged so that they have one extra letter. So these are the 2 possible variations of the Spellcaster. Both make use of largely a Bagshaw deck of repeating a cycle of 8 cards. One of the rules of the Bagshaw deck is it's got to look like a normal deck. So you want a nice spread, a mixture of reds and blacks next to each other, and fairly or exactly even number of hearts, clubs, spades, and diamonds, an appropriate number of face cards to number cards. So this does that. The principle is the same for both, but I'm just going to go through one deck for you, and it's this one. Because these are complementary decks, when you make up your own deck using, you have to combine 5 decks, but you can make two decks out of those 5 packs of cards. So on the bottom we have a 3 of diamonds. Oop, there's a king of diamonds. But the stack that's repeating is these 8 cards, starting with the 10 of clubs, 2 of hearts, 7 of clubs, Queen of spades. And notice that each of these, when you spell them out, it's one letter. Each one is 1 letter longer than the one behind it. So starting with the 10 of clubs, then 2 of hearts is 1 letter longer, 7 of clubs, Queen of spades, 9 of diamonds, then there's the 1 out, and we'll get back into it later. The use of the word the 4 of hearts, the 8 of spades, the king of diamonds, and the 3 of diamonds. 3 of diamonds in this case, or the 8 of diamonds on the other version of the deck, is an extra card because the face card is so prominent. There are not 5 of it. There is only 1 other, and it's hidden up that way. Now, one of the nice things about this deck is that you can deal face up and you never get a chance of seeing a duplicate of the card, and that's because there are indifferent cards on the top, and you notice that the top cards are very tightly spread in these. So that's actually easy to do. You just sort of press down and don't put your fingers right to the bottom, and when you spread, they will sort of spread, but they're too tight to actually read. The only ones you can actually read are from the cyclical stack. But you have 10 cards on the top, which are indifferent cards. And then you go into the cycle here. So you've got these 10 cards, and you cycle the 10, the 2, blah, 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 blah. And there's the extra 3 of diamonds hiding up there in preparation for your spelling. A couple other details about the deck. The top card has a bottom breather on it. I'll get into that. And the second card has it's slightly marked. You see, I just put a little bit of red or blue if you have a blue deck. A red Sharpie in each of these 4 corners. And I'll go into why, but that's the only other gimmicking we have on this. For the second version of the stack, you have the 2 of clubs, the 10 of hearts, the jack of spades, the 7 of hearts, the 4 of diamonds, the queen of clubs, the 3 of spades, 5 of diamonds, and the twice used 8 of diamonds. In case you don't know what a breather is, it's you just sort of crease the card on a diagonal this way with your thumbnail, making kind of an X. This was a bit that was suggested by Steve Valentine. Hey Steve. And very smart, very clever. It gives you an extra little touch, which I'll go into. So the breather's on top, the marked corner card is on underneath that, and then you have the indifferent cards, and your 3 of diamonds is on the bottom. You can do a false shovel here. I did not in the demonstration. I think it's not necessary, but if you have a good false shuffle, go for it. The Charlier is very easy and looks really messy, and that's a good one. The Charlier shuffle is a good one, and because you've got a breather, you're easy to cut to it, because this makes it really easy to cut to. The problem, though, is it's a bottom breather, so it will tend to be cut. You see the little break there? Can you see that? If you put it like this, it's very easy to cut to the card, but then you have to do another double cut to get it back to the top before you perform. So when you spread out the cards, sure it's in frame. Like I said, don't do a proper spread where you spread right from the bottom, because you will show the indifferent cards. You want to sort of push it down, get your finger maybe 12 cards up from it, and spread from there. And then spread, and then you're good. You've got that's a pretty bad spread, but that's me. You've got 5 cycle 5 cards over and over, plus the 2 extra 3 of diamonds. So you've got a choice of 42 cards that they can pick from, and it seems like a full deck. 42. That's close to 52, and they can choose any of those. And again, the standard handling that you use with this kind of thing is to kind of speed them up so they don't spend too long looking at it. I find some people really speed them up. I don't think it's necessary. Just a good pace, and just turn your head so you can't see where they're looking, and just say, "Have you got it?" And that's enough to speed them along. Then you can have them gather up the cards and assemble the deck. Then you're totally hands off after they look. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's fine for you just to pick up the cards, square them, and put them down. And generally I put them down this way, because that's more likely for them to cut the cards. When they cut the cards on this side, more likely you're going to hit the breather, and you say, "I want you to give it a couple cuts." Now, often when you say that, they go like this, which you don't really want. What you want them to do is do a cut and complete the cut. Then you can always straighten up for them and say, "Cut again." Most of the time they will cut the breather to the bottom. And you are set up. You can get them to cut a few more times. If you see the marked card on top, you know they hit it. And you can have them cut for a while, or you can just say, you know, you've cut 4 times, now I will cut once. And do you know where your card is? I mean, the point is to mix it, they don't know where the card is. Now, they pick up the deck after cutting it. It's important and emphasize that you're not going to touch the cards at that point. They pick up the cards, and you tell them what's going to happen. You are going to spell out the card. 1 card for each letter of the name of your card. And the card that you chose will be on the last letter. I think that's really nice, and it's just, you know, and I double emphasize this. Not the one before, not the one after, but it will be that card. Now that focuses all attention to the last card that they deal. Your out is at the beginning of the name of the card. It's the or not the. So you were so crystal clear in focusing them on the end of the name of the card that they forget about the beginning. So it's I think it's a nice subtlety, and it makes it clear. It makes it like, oh, there's no possibility of an out here, because we've always seen the out. So it's that card or it's the one after. But anyways, this is clear. So let's say they choose the 7 of clubs. You ask them to spell out 7 of clubs. S-E-V-E-N. And these are your indifferent cards, so you have no worry that they're going to see the card. O-F-C-L-U-B. Pause. S. 7 of clubs. Very nice, clear. So for 5 out of the 10 choices, it's just straight spelling. The other 4, the 4 hearts, 8 of spades, king of diamonds, 3 of diamonds, you have to add the. And that's simple. The only tricky part is remembering. I use mnemonics. And they're all different values, so you don't have to remember the suit. Just 3, king, 8, and 4. I just imagine just before they say the word, I remind myself of the mnemonic. You know, I say, you know, I just go through the spiel, and they're about to say the word, and I remind myself of my mnemonic, and it's aching tree fort, which is stupid, I know, but mnemonics often work better when they're stupid. Aching tree fort, that's the 8, the king, the 3, or the 4. So if they say, if they mention, what's it, like the 3 of diamonds, I know from my tree in aching tree fort that it is they have to use the. So you just add on the when you're spelling it. 3 of diamonds. So I just say, spell it out, the 3 of diamonds. And it's super simple. T-H-E, T-H-R-E-E, O-F, D-I-A-M-O-N-D-S. With that many cards, it's like, no, it's really pretty. So that's your out. For the other deck, I have a mnemonic. What is it here? I don't use the other deck. So it's a 3, 5, 8, and queen. My mnemonic is Queen, Clive, 8, a tree. It's Queen, Clive, 8, a tree. Queen, 5, 8, and 3. You get here. You just repeat it to yourself just before they mention their card. You hear one of those cards, just go instantly add the. It's simple. That's yeah, it's easy. Okay, a couple notes on scripting. They say you shouldn't say what you're going to do before you do it. I kind of like it if you do that. If your method is good, you can get away with it, and it makes it even better. I always say, you know, it was a classic plot of magic. I just usually like using that phrase around lay people. Do they go plots? Oh, interesting. So a classic plot of magic of spelling out a card, as I did in the presentation. And I always say a card is chosen, and demonstrate, with my hands, or I say, someone picks a card, something like that. To make it clear that this is a very sort of standard way of doing it. The standard presentation is not, what we're going to be doing is kicking it up a notch. Another thing I like is to take a simple trick that has some symbolic value to it and actually making that explicit, because people don't think about that with magic tricks. They don't think of the history, they don't think of all the lore of magic and magic words and spells and spelling and I could go on forever with this stuff because I'm really fascinated by magic words. Abracadabra, is it Aramaic for a create by speaking? There's a couple other variations of a translation. It, as I understand, is not 100% certain as a etymology, but it is in the running and I like it. And it is often, you see in very old etchings and drawings, it is often broken down into the spelling version of it, like this. I think that's cool. Other things you can add is, Sigmund Freud said in the beginning words and magic were one and the same thing, which he did. And in both the Old and New Testaments of the Bible, you get God creating the universe with words, and God said, or in the beginning was the Word. Other mythologies that use this, the Egyptian god Ptah, the Maori god Io, the Mayan god Tipiyu, all created the world with words. So there's huge lore on the relationship between words and spelling to magic, and it's nice to bring it up and then to say, well, we're going to do something like that classic spelling trick, but it's going to be even better. Just spread out, think of a card, put them back together, cut a few times so you don't know where it is, but pick it up and spell. And they spell, and they deal face up, and it's just about as clean as it could possibly be. It's what you would imagine the spelling trick being if you could do it any way you could. So, I think that's nice. I think it's a nice presentation. In this, it was sort of scripted. I had some of this stuff, and I was just kind of like gauging how much I want to use, and then sort of undercutting it with, like, that's a lot of weight for a card trick, or something like that, to just sort of keep things real. It's not, you're putting too much weight on something. It's like, this guy's full of himself. But just sort of excitedly talking about this stuff, and it's interesting. I think that people like that. People like that. It's an aspect of a card trick they've never really thought about, and you're showing them something new. So I think that's fun. I've shown it to a number of card men, and they haven't seen this. I looked through all the, there's chapter 2 of Encyclopedia of Card Tricks has a number of very strong spelling effects. Perfect Speller is probably the closest, where they have a repeating cycle of cards, but they're all to the same length, and it's not a think a card trick, it's a chosen card trick. So they're all, I think they spell out 13 letters. And then you have to do handling and sleight of hand. Animan's Think of a Card is closer, but that's not a full deck spread. Stuart James has a number of spelling tricks, and he has more that I haven't read because his work is voluminous, and of course there's so much, so many spelling tricks, so many card tricks, that there is the chance that it is somewhere out there, or something quite similar to this out there. If so, I apologize to whoever it was, please let me know. We're keeping this at a limited release right now, so if anyone knows an effect which is somebody who's come up with this before, please let me know. So there you have it. I hope you give it a try. It's gets very strong reactions, and if you can add other elements to it, false shuffles, a deck switch to bring it in, you could really fry people with this, and because it's just a beautifully clean, straightforward effect, and I think a nice take on the plot. So I hope you enjoy it.